This is the panel discussion of UK immersive experience R&D between UK and China. And my name is Sylvia Srinipan. I am a lecturer in VR at Goldsmiths, University of London. And here I have three great panelists with me, Sarah Ellis, Pearl Wang, and Johnny Freeman. So Dr. Pearl Wang is not yet here. She's stuck in traffic because she's actually located in China, where Johnny, Pearl is here. Great. So we have a full house. Fantastic. Okay, just right on time. Okay. So she's actually joining us in the evening. It's a Friday. Pearl, your camera is slightly, we can only see the lower part of you. Yes, perfect. Okay, so now we have all three great panelists here with Johnny and Sarah in the UK, where Pearl joining us from Shanghai. So before we go into too much detail about the panel, I just want to do a quick introduction of, sorry, this is the end of the presentation at the beginning. A quick sort of brief introduction of who I am. So my name is Srinipan. I'm a lecturer in VR, and I have been working in VR for a very long time. My own research is very much about character, social interaction inside immersive media. I've been looking at applications in social anxiety psychotherapy. I work with neuroscientists on using VR to understand certain neurological disorders such as autism. I've been working with medical doctors on how to use VR for medical doctor communication training. And recently I've been working with the gaming industry, narrative games. We develop AI characters for the game character to be more immersive and more engaging. So that's enough about me. But also, if you want to know more about my research, I am the co-head of the CVR Lab, Social, Empathic, and Embodied VR Lab at Goldsmiths. So you can find a lot more information about my research here. But today is really about this project, which I have basically been running since about 2019. We got a seed funding, and then 2020 we were awarded with a big grant on developing UK-China partnership in the area of immersive, innovative, and interactive experiences. So we have this IIIE project. We're looking at a technology-driven London-Shanghai partnership in mixed realities and performing arts. We have all these great partners, as you can see, including both UK leading creative companies and institutes like the RAC, where Sarah is from, Marshmallow Lisa Fist, and many others as well, and also leading China university partners like Shanghai Jiaotong University, where Dr. Pearl is from. So I was going to show, in the past, obviously 1.5 years, we had lots of really amazing online activities as part of this project. But that's not exactly when we wrote the proposal in 2019. That's not exactly what we were anticipating. And I was just looking at this video when we were applying for this grant. We made a little video based on our trip in 2019 to Shanghai. And so I want to actually show you this video, which really, brings back some of the real energy from our trip in 2019, and hopefully in a year or so we'll be there. So that's just, let me just get started with this. I don't know if you can hear the audio. I think when I share screen, I might not have, I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen and then share again and make sure I take the boxes. Okay, so now you should be also able to actually hear the audio. It's very faint. Yeah.
Really want to see what the tech sector, the cultural sector in China is doing right now with immersive technology, and what we can learn and how we can work together.
Okay, increase the volume a bit. Is it good, huh?
We've seen so many things, both in research and industry, and we had a chance to talk to the general public in China. It has been an amazing trip, and hopefully there'll be more real fruitful collaboration coming out of this trip.
Okay, so that hopefully give you some sort of energy back on how real life was like, you know, and hopefully that is something we will also all experience next year or the year after. So this is really the background of our project, but even with all the difficulties with COVID, we were able to have some really interesting online sort of discussions, and also Sarah and Johnny worked together on a fantastic project which was funded by UKRI, and that's kind of a sort of change of plan as COVID happened, and that's what Sarah will be talking about next. So can I please introduce Sarah Ellis, who is an award-winning producer, and she's the head of digital development of the Real Shakespeare Company, and she will be talking about the Audience of the Future live performance demonstrator project DREAM, which is a UKRI funded project with many top UK creative companies. Sarah, over to you. Let me just stop sharing.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here and to meet you all. I'm Sarah, and I'm Director of Digital Development at the Royal Shakespeare Company. I've worked with IIIE Media Research and Goldsmiths over the past few years on a project called Audience of the Future live performance demonstrator, where over the past few years we've explored what the future of live performance could be using immersive technology, and working not just in theatre but also with other arts organisations such as festival, the Manchester International Film Festival, the Philharmonia Orchestra to look at music, and also Marshmallow Laser Feast and Punch Drunk. And that's allowed us and equipped us to have a really wide range of research and development into what the future of live performance could be. Today I'm going to talk to you about how COVID-19 affected the project and what we have found through that process, and the piece of work that we performed back in March last month, which was a result of the Audience of the Future programme, but also a really huge pivot during a pandemic and how we achieved it. I think it's, I'll share some slides on what we did shortly, but before that I'm just going to talk you through what we experienced over the past year and where we've got to where we are. So we were due to do a performance in Stratford upon Avon in the UK last summer, and we were full in production, and the pandemic hit and all the theatres in the UK closed. And this meant that we had to stop production on the performance that we were working on, Dream, which was inspired by Midsummer Night's Dream, Shakespeare's play. And we had to stop immediately and completely rethink how we were going to achieve this. Our first challenge was making sure that everyone on the project was safe, making sure everyone on the project was okay and equipped to still be functioning and working. And for many of the people working on the project, they were freelancers, so did not have the infrastructures such as we have at Goldsmiths or at the RSC. So we had to really make sure that all the freelancers were paid, and we took a moment. And the first thing that we did was commission Johnny's team and Goldsmiths and IIIE Media to find out, do a piece of audience research and a piece of consortium consultation on where audiences were at, where people were at, and we had to radically pivot this performance, which was not possible to be achieved in person using immersive technology, but had to be completely realised to be performed live, but to audiences that we couldn't be in person with. And that was a huge, profound shift in what we were envisaging and what we were going to do. And we needed to take a moment to really think about and listen to what audiences, where audiences were at. And throughout that process, what we heard back from that piece of research was that audiences were still craving togetherness and liveness, which was wonderful to hear, because that's what theatre and live performance does amazingly. But also what was going on was that it highlighted a huge inequity in the technology that people have in their homes and what's accessible to them. And that was something that we really needed to think about. If we were using the most cutting edge immersive technologies, how we were going to realize that when the technology in people's homes may not have the capabilities of experiencing a performance, that we were going to use the certain technologies that we were anticipating using for the live performance, where we could provide that technology for our audiences. And it's in the spirit of that, of how we developed and how we took the piece forward. We also had to rethink all the skills and expertise on the project. We had a contracted amount of time to deliver it. We had to deliver it by last March. We had to completely reimagine and start from scratch a whole online distribution platform, which we'd never done before. But also we had to put this in the hands of audiences with whatever technology they had. So we went very quickly from devices to understanding that the devices that people had in their homes were most likely to be a desktop PC or iMac, tablets or phones. And that's what we had to make the piece for. Yet, whilst using the most cutting edge immersive technologies to make it. And so we used the Unreal game engine to create a digital world. But we also had to create a completely safe COVID space for our actors and everyone to make the work in. And I'm going to try and share my screen now with you to see. Actually, that's interesting. It doesn't come up as possible to share. That's interesting. May not be able to share my screen, which is unfortunate, but I will try. One moment. Let's put that up.
Sarah, if you have web pages or web-based things you want to share, you can send me the link and I can share mine.
I've got it, it's fine. I just needed to bring it up. Can you see that? Yeah. Can you see my screen? Brilliant.
Yeah.
So, Dream. Inspired by Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare, it was always going to be a live online performance. And this time, instead of an in-person forest, we set it in a virtual midsummer forest. We kept the partnership, as many partners as we could in the performance. And the day before lockdown, the Philharmonia had recorded music for the performance that would have been in Stratford-upon-Avon. We were really delighted to keep their music in it, and that was the basis for what we achieved. We also looked at the key technologies that we could take it back into the online performance, and one of the biggest risks that we had was, if going back into lockdown again, would that stop us being able to make work in person? And what we were able to do at this really challenging time was to create a COVID-safe bubble for actors and technical crew and key production crew to perform in. And so that one of the initial things we wanted to achieve was using live motion capture. Actors would be able to perform in a COVID-safe volume, but have a digital avatar that would appear in the world of the play of what you would experience at home as Dream. So these pictures here just give you a sense of the live motion capture technologies that we were using in person, and everything that you experienced in Dream was live, performed by an actor. But what you saw was this. And this gives you a sense of what was going on live in a studio with actors using face tracking through iPhone technology. But you were able to access on your desktop, your mobile app, or your tablet, this high level real-time performance captured created through the Unreal game engine, distributed through live streaming and using virtual production tools to achieve this beautiful artistic rendering. We also wanted to demonstrate to audiences that we were live. So one of the key scenes in this is we cut away and you were able to see the live performance in the space. And one of the things you could do as an audience member to increase that sense of togetherness is that you could have a firefly that came into the space and you lit the way of the main protagonist, Puck. And here you can see in the background, there was a video LED screen which the actors saw. So the actors saw the world of the play that the audiences saw, and you can see those fireflies light their way up. These are pictures of the characters that we had in the play. This is Peas Blossom, really elemental, and all of the characters in the play were based on Shakespeare's fairies. We didn't use the whole play, but we just used aspects of it. This is Cobweb, and this is Puck. Now, Cobweb was the size of an acorn cup, and then Peas Blossom was a human size. And in it, we made a 7-kilometre forest in the Unreal Engine, but it was performed in a 7-metre volume in the actual live performance. And here you can see Moth. Moth was a character made up of tiny moths. And you can start seeing that the world was all beautifully digitally rendered for audiences. And here we go, just going to give you some highlights here. As you can see, it was a really beautifully live performance. Audiences were able to see aspects of this moment too. So we were really connecting what the real world and the digital world was, and that was incredibly well received. All of this received online virtually with audiences around the world, and we reached, I think, 92 countries in total around that time. It's really important to say that we didn't stream it in virtual reality, and that allowed us to reach a huge number of audiences. But we know now there's a huge appetite for this work, and we hope going forward that we can converge the devices and headsets that people aren't yet mainstream in terms of audiences, and that we build that. And this gives you an overview of the forest as it's developed. And then Gesturement was a technology that Puck and other characters used, using music to interact with the experience. And as you can see, there's an actor here, and that's Maggie, the performer, and that's her character. There we go. So that gives you a sense of the wonderful world of Dream that we created in March. The pivot from a live performance to that performance was quite profound and phenomenal. And we wouldn't have achieved that without having that piece of audience research at the beginning, where we had to ask ourselves where audiences were at, what did they have, what could we put out there, and what could be safe in terms of a pandemic. And I think from that, what we've learned is that audiences crave live performance is thriving, and that we have an opportunity, if we're accessible with how we reach audiences, we have huge potential to build this work in the future. I think that's it.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Round of applause. Yeah. So before I move on to the next speaker, I'm just gonna share my screen again very briefly, because I want, you know, as Sarah just pointed out, audience appreciate more interactive experience. So I actually made a WooClap of, you know, for you to be also joining us for the discussion. So if you can just scan this QR code with your phone by pointing your camera at it. And I'm also going to, if can someone put that link in chat as well in Zoom, that will also make it easier. I don't think I can copy paste the link. So have you all got this link? I'll also try to copy paste this link in a bit, but I'm gonna now move on to the actual question. So, you know, I want you to be part of it. So as we listen to Pearl and Johnny's presentation, if you can put your favorite VR piece and why, that'd be really helpful for our next round of discussion. Okay, so can I please introduce our second speaker, Dr. Pearl Wang. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen to let Pearl share hers as she's getting ready. She is an associate professor at the Institute of Culture and Creative Industry from Shanghai Jiaotong University, which is our project partner on our IIIE project. And Dr. Pearl Wang has intensive working experience in media management, multinational corporate communication, and creative communication fields before she joined Shanghai Jiaotong University as well. And she'll be talking about, she actually attended sort of the dream event from China, the one Sarah just talked about. So she will tell us her experience as well. But more importantly, she will also talk about a recent audience XR market research she has conducted in China last summer. That's probably the only country where I had some real events going on. And she was able to conduct a study in China with 1,500 participants. So, Pearl, are you ready to share your screen?
Hi, I'm sorry, I think I'm using, I will be the third one, but now suddenly I feel I'm the second one, but it's okay.
Oh, okay. Yes, you want to, yeah.
Yeah, I'm using the mobile phone as the Zoom, app, but my slides, my presentation is on my laptop, so I don't know how to upload or how to make them. I don't know.
So you can join again on your laptop as well on Zoom.
Or I can send you by WeChat, and then
you can WeChat me your slides.
I can I think it's not well 100% ready for this talk for this seminar, but yeah.
Johnny, do you want to?
I can talk something. Just let me organize my Okay, so first of all, I want to introduce myself again. Thank you. Thanks a lot for organizing this small seminar. I remember last time when we finished the show, we decided to discuss again, find a good time, more longer time to discuss the excellence of the performance stream. So we're happy that we meet together so we can discuss that again. And for about myself, I'm doing both. We say in China we say 天和地 So from the macro level, I'm doing cultural planning for the city government. That is to these days I'm focusing on how creative technology is helping the city regeneration. Especially we in China, we say how to develop or how to renew a city. So during that process, creative technology can play a very important role to refresh the city's phenomenon and the culture. So also I'm doing VR production myself, especially for my past career is in TV production for a long time. So I did a lot in video production, a few long, what is that? I dreamed to apply such kind of technology that can put you into a real or virtual environment, but you will feel real. So at that time, I don't know what it is that. Even in the year of 2010, when the Shanghai World Expo Shanghai was hosted in Shanghai, I did the whole project of the creation of Shanghai Pavilion. So at that time, I used the cinema of used the 360-degree screens to show the city, to tell the story of the city. But now I'm happy that we can use very immersive or real virtual reality technology to tell the story. And just this afternoon, I'm sorry to be a little bit late because I need to drive like 1.5 hours from my campus to home. And then this afternoon, from this semester, I started to teach. We opened a course of VR production. From this semester, just we have a very small class, like 8 students. I thought before the class opened, I thought maybe there are only 2 or 3 works can be produced by these 8 students. But to my surprise, they are passionate about VR production. So now we got like a 6 production, plan. They will finish this production. They will contribute 6 works after the semester ends. So I think this is also very exciting new thing for me. And then I want to congratulate again on the success of Dream. I experienced the whole process. I mean, the whole process of like a stage performance from the very beginning, how to wait, how to enter the lounge, and till the end, participating the discussion, and also to the last minute, see all the actors say goodbye to us. So the whole process is very stage performance style. But it's real online performance. So I was amazed by the whole, project. And I remember last year, Valentine's Day, we were there. We discussed the future and we predicted the future. But I think when the future comes to us, we feel it's more excited than what we thought, what we expected. So congratulations again. And here I want to give you some encouraging news that I mentioned several times, because I just took some, pictures of the on the screen. Though it's on a PC screen, but still the picture is pretty good. So I mentioned this show several times on different meetings to my colleagues, or to via producers or some industrial professionals when we meet together. I ask them, what is the comments on this future, on this trending, stage immersive performance. They will, wow, every time they will, very surprised and very excited. Especially when I told them this is real time and this is online and it's also real time interaction. There are 2,000 people like me. We did participating the interaction. So it's not firework. I once expected that should be a firework, but it's still amazing. Maybe next time we can do firework. And also, I asked several students of mine, and I asked them how much you are willing to pay for this show, and are you willing to watch them or at home, because it's online, and do you prefer watching them in the theater or at home online? So I know that I think the R&D, the purpose of this project is to make a wonderful, originally it's for stage, it's for the theater, but happened to be, I think it's because of some, difficult time. I mean, we finally, it's delivered online. But this is very interesting things that in China, young people told me they prefer watching it at home, online, because it's more private. They can feel more flexible when they watch. This more freedom. So if they are in theater, they need to be dressed well and they, sit there. So the preference is to watch this kind of show online instead of, going into the theater, which is also, Chinese tradition is not, how to say, our theater is very small, and the audience of theater play is also small. So I think this is the reflection of younger generation in China, and also they say they love to pay. I remember last time when we did the survey about the China's audience, about their willingness to pay. I remember the figure told us that they can offer like double price of a movie ticket. For example, like our average movie, the average price of a movie ticket is like 40 RMB yuan. For the length will be like a 1.5 hour or 2 hours. For VR experience, they'd love to pay like 80 RMB for an experience of which the length can be like 15 minutes to 30 minutes. So I think this is a pretty encouraging, signal for us to understand if we have an opportunity to, for example, like to deliver this kind of performance to China, for I think in the future, this online immersive performance can be global, or can be globally delivered through, online. So this is, I think this will be a global theater. So this is a very exciting future for us. And the other question, I remember the list of questions, I hope us to contribute some thoughts, is that if it's in China, how to maybe what we can do to be more localized for Chinese audience. And first, I think it's when we did the survey about the correlationship between different elements. For example, like if people they have more stronger sense of technology controlling, they are more willing to pay. And if the cultural engagement, they have more sense of cultural engagement, so they are more willing to pay. So I think this performance maybe the a little bit the most weak part is the story, because we in China probably we don't understand the story. Why Shakespeare? Why? Because Shakespeare is very elite for Chinese audience. It's not like it's not popular. It's not the pop culture. So I mean, the story can be more modern or more subculture for younger audience. And then how to make them more engaged, because I show them the interaction. I said why, they say why it's not firework, because they think maybe the lighting is is a little bit simple. And my students say, because one of my students is producing a VR program of firework. She is trying to produce a program for the family to play the firework together, because of the COVID-19, the family are separated from in different places, especially in the Spring Festival. So they say she thought that we can play firework through VR, a social, something like that. So probably if it's more localized, it can be more Chinese traditional elements. But this is just only for Chinese audience. If we want to make it more global, that's another cup of tea. Okay, so I think it's more now. It's very global. So the other things that especially again the interaction. My students, younger people think this type of interaction can function. Is it possible that to make this interaction more functional? I mean, in more play show more power in the story, because that will stimulate audience their passion to engage, to be involved. It's in this version, it seems like this is more like a decoration or it's a phenomenon, but not real playing a very important role in the crew of in the story in the story itself. So this is the feedback our students gave me. So and the other things that let me see. Oh, yeah, they asked me how to be more engagement when people watch from the screen. But yeah, they are interested in the version, the VR version of that performance. It can be more, all the surroundings, virtual, environment can be more immersive. Now they are just watching the screen. So I think this is a little bit different. So we, including myself, we are more expecting to see, is there a real, is there really a version of virtual reality version? So I don't know whether there is one. If there's one, I think that will be more welcome or more exciting. So these are some comments from people around me when I introduced this performance to them. And for myself, just like what I said last time, on the following discussion after the show, I asked how I'm interested in the whole process, how audience research can co-work with the performance creation, and how they work together, and how audience research results or the study on audience can help to develop the performance. I think this is a very different culture from China. I think in China we research our research, and maybe before the performance we will do pre-research, invite some experts to do some survey or to do some audience study. but how to do that, how to co-work together during the whole process. This is interesting, and this is, I think, a very good case if we can review this process and make it a very good case for both, practitioners and the researchers. So I think that's what I think about the dream. And talking about the survey of, I shared some results last time. Remember, what is that last time? On the
Beyond conference.
Yeah, Beyond conference. And after that, I did some correlation, analysis. But unfortunately, the PowerPoint just got prepared 2 days ago. I was just didn't got enough time. Get enough time to repack it. So maybe we can save for next time. Okay.
That's okay. Yeah. I think it's already. Yeah, I really appreciate what you talked about. Actually, reflection on the dreams. I didn't expect you already had some student feedback from from such a short time span from actually when we met about it. So that's yeah. Do you want to add anything or?
I want to add one thing that now the challenge for me is that how to teach students produce a good VR project or product or experience. So I I introduced that this semester we started that course of VR production. Unlike those courses opened in School of Computing Science or some other engineering school or fine arts school, we focus on we focus on the storytelling, and we focus on the experience design, and we focus on the audience engagement. So these are challenges for me, and I think for researchers, I'm expecting that is their kind of teaching material with kind of good measurement index or measurement system of audience to help students to produce a really audience friendly product. So this is the next challenge for us. I need maybe you guys can help together, right? Thank you.
So thank you, Dr. Wang. It's obviously I teach VR. I know a few of those matrices that I can share with you, but we have an expert here, Johnny Freeman. Obviously, we all know that who can tell us a lot more about this. I just want to add a couple of points. I really appreciate you talk where you mentioned the barrier to entry in China is slightly different. Not only money, but people actually feel like sometimes embarrassed to go to theater, especially the kind of small rooms theater, and also the willingness to pay, that they're actually happy to pay twice the cinema ticket, which will be for 1.5 to 2 hour experience, where in VR we're normally talking about 20-30 minute experience. And that's really encouraging news to know. But I also want to say that next time I'm going to China, let's have fireworks, but that on its own makes me stress, because I'm a technologist. Firework is just simply a little bit more difficult to render, and I think they had a really sort of tight project where they're looking at 2,000 interactive audience, and they have to keep the frame rate there as well. But anyway, I'm sure they made thousands of decisions on the way, where they have relied expertise on creatives and technologists, but really importantly, a psychologist who we have the honor to have here. So, last point. I forgot that to mention. I asked the students how many audience you think, if there's no barrier like a VPN, no network barrier, you think how many audience that will be online once together real time, and they think they can +20 after 5,000, right? So that's China. I believe so. Right. I think this is very encouraging, news. Okay. Okay, fantastic. Okay. On that note, can I please introduce my close colleague and friend, Professor Johnny Freeman, who is a professor in psychology, who has his PhD thesis about 20-something years ago, was actually one of the first talking about the psychology of immersive media, and that's the area he's been working for the past 20 years or so. And he's also the managing director of IIIE Media, who has basically was with Sarah and all the other companies on this dream journey. So yeah, Johnny, please.
Yeah, okay, thank you, and hello everyone. And gosh, how do I follow Sarah and Pearl's brilliant presentations when I'm just an academic? No, I'm not. I'm an academic who applies my work and thinking. So I just wanted to say a couple of things up front, and there's one sort of joining theme across what Sarah was saying and what you were saying, Pearl, in relation to the model that Sarah implemented on Dream is one that, even though I have been doing this for 25 years, I've not really had that experience before of research, creative, producers, technologists, actually all working really, really closely as a team. And that meant it wasn't just some research up front to say, this is what people need. It was questions back to how does this land with audiences? Do audiences understand these different elements of the experience? And it's been incredibly rewarding experience. And I think when we get onto the panel discussion later, Pearl, I think we should pick Sarah's brain to understand how she managed that, because it was through quite a flat hierarchy, but everyone empowered to collaborate in a really positive and constructive way. So that's one comment I think we should focus on the Q&A later. The other, Pearl, is your insights. So and to everyone else, hello. I'm Johnny. I can only see the panel, so I know there are other people here. IIIE Media did a whole range of applications of our methodologies that we've been developing over the last 25 years within the performance demonstrator. I'm going to run through a couple of those in a second and introduce the company. But the thing that's been literally, and Sarah can verify this, exciting me over the last 3 weeks or so since the run of Dream finished, or in fact from the first night when data started pouring in, has been the audience response to Dream. So as well as very high tens of thousands of audience, approaching 100,000 audience of it live, we had 6,500 of them filling in the post-show survey. And that's a really high number considering it was quite a long survey. It was 16 minutes for people to fill it in. Completion rate almost unheard of, like almost approaching 70% on completion rate. And the feedback that we've captured using our survey, which I'll mention more detail on the survey later, focused on audience impact, but also how people heard about it and willingness to pay, as you know, from III's audience impact metric. And the feedback has been incredibly positive across all the dimensions that we measured. They were clearly net positive, so more people saying positive things rather than negative things, and mainly incredibly net positive. So like in the 90% of ratings being in the positive direction. So it's incredibly encouraging, especially considering that Dream was a piece of R&D. This has never been done before, plugging the technologies that Sarah showed you at the start together with the creative minds who, yes, they've innovated before, but never under such constraints that COVID imposed. And we're going to be doing a lot of sharing as a consortium of the lots and lots of data about it. So audience impact, engagement, emotional response, willingness to pay, desire to watch it again. It will also be going on the dream.online website again for people to watch as a watch again function, and also learnings for the sector, because the point of the R&D fundamentally was to understand, well, what are the barriers to this happening smoothly? What are the optimized workflows that are needed to do this? And how do audiences respond? And we've got some really, really positive insights and findings across all of those, but we're not going to share too many of them today because we're going to launch our full evaluation in due course once we've collated it all, because there's, as you can imagine, 6,500 sets of data of over 100 questions is a lot. So so I don't want to sort of raise your expectations too highly. You wanted a firework, Pearl. I've given you a firework. This is purely by chance, but fireworks are impactful, and the whole ethos behind what IIIE Media does is to understand audiences, to understand how creative industries, professionals can create the maximum impact. And in China, that could well be fireworks. And fireworks, just in common parlance in English anyway, means something exciting. So there were fireworks. Very quickly about IT Media. So I set it up as a spin-off company from Goldsmiths in 2002. So we have, we're getting on for 20 years old. We bridge the academic and commercial worlds, and we work with with clients and partners for three main reasons. And they're what you can see on the slide here. So inspiration, evaluation, and benchmarking. Benchmarking is kind of the most boring, but really essential for governments, regulators, and industry sectors to know how they're doing compared to their competition. Evaluation is one of the most important for a lot of our clients, because they want to make claims about brands or products or experiences, and they want our independent evaluation to validate those claims. And we're based at Goldsmiths, as Sylvia mentioned, so everything goes through our ethical committee for approval. And that enables us to, when we report something, it is genuinely an independent evaluation of its impact. But the reason we enjoy working the most is as inspiration, and that's through engaging deeply with end users and audiences to identify what their needs are and new opportunities through a deep understanding of both the value chain and the consumer. So that's the one that my team and I like the most. And this is the team who have been working on the Dream, the performance demonstrator, with Sarah and all our other brilliant colleagues. There have been others over the last couple of years who have now gone on to work at companies like Facebook and Google, who pay a lot more than I can or would wish to. And these are all the different tasks that we do. So independent evaluations, live A/B testing in the field, everything's user-centered. For publicly funded research, we summarize our learnings in guidelines, and that covers usability, accessibility, behavior change. For commercial clients, we engage much more in confidential strategic reports for their business strategies, understanding where their new opportunities that we identify can fit in the value chain. And we develop, on the basis of our evidence, strategic models and strategies for addressing opportunities. And of course, and Sarah can nod vigorously here, everything we do is cost effective and delivered to budget and schedule. And these are just some of the brilliant organisations that we've been working with over the last few years. You'll see there's a lot of creative industries organisations. Sarah's Royal Shakespeare Company there, MLF, who Robin, who artistic director of Dream, through National Theatre, Nesta, UKRI. There's also a lot of finance sector companies, so Schroders, Barclays, Nest Pensions, a lot of advertisers, a lot of transport and mobility based companies. And our focus in all of these projects is on tech solutions to enhance what they deliver to their audiences stroke customers. Okay, so we were in the project from the start, which was January 2019, and we had a set number of tasks in that, and they included identifying who our audience was, who we should target, the initially planned like live performance of Dream that Sarah talked about that was scheduled for last summer, and their willingness to pay for different immersive productions, what functionalities and affordances could be delivered to them, and also understanding what the sector needs to learn in order to deliver these new innovations to new audiences. And that's one of the steps we always use in any project, is understanding who your audience is that you're trying to communicate to. This has been published at Beyond already, so not sharing anything sort of top secret. But what we do want to point out here is that we customize our segmentations based on what the most important dimensions are in understanding different audience behavior. So in relation to creative and cultural content delivered to technically innovative platforms, those two dimensions are arts and cultural attitude and technology attitude, which I've mapped out on here. But there are 12 other behavioral and attitudinal dimensions that we include in our segmentation model to assign people reliably to each of these different 8 segments. Broadly speaking, these are older and these are younger. These are more culturally engaged, these are less culturally engaged, and the top is more technically engaged and the bottom less technically engaged. And you'll see from that we predicted really clearly who our biggest audience segments would be for Dream, and that's what the numbers seem to be indicating at the moment, that for people who actually paid for tickets for Dream or came to Dream, they're over-indexed, they're dominated by these segments, which is what we predicted, and these are vastly underrepresented in our audience. We also predicted way back then, and this is part of the justification of how we can deliver Dream to audiences at home, how we could reach these audiences via different tech solutions. And I know, Pearl, you mentioned sort of the full immersive VR experience being sort of the holy grail. And the big point to make about that is that hardly anyone would have seen it. So our own data shows less than 5% of UK households have VR headsets at home. It's actually the latest data from Digital Catapult and Super Data is that only 1.4% of UK households are active monthly VR headset users, which is very, very small audience. And the whole objective of Audience of the Future, the project that Sarah's leading, is to reach big audiences. We have a target of 100,000 audiences to reach. And it was really clear that a strategy to reach those had to be based on ignoring VR for now and going via web streaming, which is what we did, and really successfully. Showing this slide because this is sort of the psychology basis behind all our audience engagement, is we start from really fundamental building blocks of what it is to be human. So an understanding of humans' attentional processes, their values, their biases, their emotional needs, their social needs, and then higher order cognitive experiences. And these really form the fundamental structure of a lot of our really operational measures of how well a piece of content or an experience meets an audience's experience. Sylvia's already mentioned we've been doing this for over 20 years. You'll see my first research in this area, which was when I was just out of undergraduate. It was getting on for 30 years ago, 27 years ago. So we've been doing it a long time, and I'm just, in the interest of time, not going to focus on this slide for too long. What I did want to draw your attention to is the model that we use that underpins all of our generative user-centered research, which is our impact model. And basically it's a lens that we apply to understanding people's experience of anything. It can be a banking transaction, it can be getting on an aeroplane, it can be experiencing a theatrical production or a music concert. And those 6 dimensions, if they're optimized, lead to greater audience impact and greater willingness to pay. And we use them with our clients to evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of different propositions, and then identify new opportunities, new product features to focus on. What are the 6 dimensions? They are a clever acronym where I is for interesting, M, meaningful, P, personalized, A, affective, so generating an emotional response, C, collective, T, transportive, and all of those contribute to global quality of experience that audiences report, and they then predict willingness to pay. And we've done this in over 320 studies that we have done over the last 20 years or so. And important to note that in the Dream project, we'd applied these lenses once for the live event, and then we had to work out, okay, let's reapply them to the digital event to develop the digital strategy that Sarah and the exec producers wanted to brief the creative team with. Just flashing up here that there is an impact canvas that you can download for free from I2 Media's website if you want to try and use it yourselves with one of your creative productions, and we'll share the link for that in just a second. Equally, if you want to pay me and my team to apply it to your development processes, we're super happy to do that, and we do that across multiple sectors. just very quickly to show that, really reflecting, Pearl, what you were noticing is that the research wasn't just research we did at the start and then walked away and said, off you go, but all the findings from our audiences in lockdown research in 2020, which Sarah commissioned, were directly addressed by the brilliant creative and technical team that we engage with. So in terms of, we knew up front that the majority of audiences would actually want a passive experience and to be engaged and immersed in the story. We knew that to reach big audiences, it had to be via WebXR, not VR headsets. We knew that the mood of the nation, the state of the nation, was that it had to be joyful and uplifting, with the narrative arc and musical score addressing that perfectly. We knew that audiences wanted to be aware of each other, and the creative response was brilliant. You know, a live counter of, you could see how many people were in the lobby at any point in time. We knew that audiences were missing live performance. They told us that in our audiences in lockdown research. Again, the response creatively and technically was what Sarah showed, the brilliant live and transparent live driving of the virtual character's behavior in Unreal. We knew the rituals of the theatre were important because audiences told us that. So there was the extended lobby experience, the main show and the post-show Q&A. If you're a VIP in the UK, you got an actual cocktail delivered, a cocktail kit delivered to your house to again emulate that ritual. We also knew from the segmentation that audience types vary in their motivation. So different messaging and different emphasis was needed for different elements of the communication. And we knew that it had to be a collective experience. And again, this is something that landed. So the average audience, or the average number of eyeballs on each screen, assuming everyone had 2 eyeballs, was 4.2. So there are more than 2 people watching each stream that we monitored. Just to show in-depth audience research using our impact model, then giving really clear constraints and requirements to the creative and technical team, who then worked their magic on it. Can't finish a presentation without telling you that if you haven't heard of the audience impact metric, you should hear about it. So if you go to i2mediaresearch.com and click on i2 metrics, you'll get to a page describing it, which for a really simple setup, like 2-minute setup and quite a low fee, less than £1,000, like £700 for the full professional service, you get to use our audience impact metric, which evaluates quality of user experience, global quality of experience, cultural value, engagement, emotional intensity, and willingness to pay. As soon as you've got an audience of 36 or more people, you can trust the willingness to pay numbers, and it analyzes the data for you automatically, so you can then report it to your stakeholders and so on. And I think I end there. And
okay, yeah, thank you, Johnny. And as we all know that interactive experience is appreciated, I'm going to share my screen again with some of the answers from you about what is your favorite VR piece. And we have various range of answers: VR chat, Beat Saber, Dreams, of course. And then some people just mentioned, you know, briefly in general, sort of Steam VR. And yeah, and obviously Oculus Quest or Quest 2 are the sort of most commonly owned VR headsets. And there's also the Marshmallow Laser Fist experience, which is the location-based experience, which is amazing. But I would like to also ask all the panelists to share what is your favorite VR experience. Who want to go first? Johnny?
If my microphone is still on, I will. So that was me that commented, it's got to be one by MLF. We've obviously been working with MLF for a number of years, separately to the Dream project anyway. So we've evaluated some of their experiences in our lab. Tree Hugger is one that I go back to again and again, and we're lucky enough to have an installation of it in our lab that they came and stuck on our machines. And it's just a beautiful experience of a forest. See the link there. They also did a beautiful one of a colossal wave. So their experiences, which are multimodal, immersive experiences, are some of my favorites.
Thank you. Sarah, how about you?
I think there's a company called there's a company who did a wonderful Tempest last year, which I think really demonstrated the possibilities of real-time VR and that connection. And I think that's got huge potential if we can get more people in headsets at the same time. I think that's delightful. And then there's another one called Dr. Crumb as a venture lab or something like that, and I've done that a couple of times now, and I know that what I love about that is behind the scenes I know many people that have worked in immersive and theatre making have advised on that piece, and you can really see that, and I think that's really good. So you can sort of see the expertise of live performance and theatre coming into the virtual reality space, but not necessarily having to make a piece of theatre. I think it's a really good use of skills, and that's a really, really good way for us to expand our industries and knowledge going forward.
Thank you. I've tried the Tempest, but I'm really curious about the Dr. Crumb. I can't find do you mind typing that in chat so we can all try that?
I've done that one, Sylvia, and it's brilliant. Although you have to collaborate as a team and sort out lots of challenges around a brilliant space. And it is brilliant. I agree with that, Sarah.
Interesting. So Pearl, do you have a favorite VR piece other than Dream?
I want to introduce two of them. It's not really my personal favorite one. This is introduced by the director of education of Bilibili. You know, Bilibili. He is responsible for their future education. Department or something like that. And he told me that why he is once his son watched the on the Steam, they found a VR. It's not. I don't think it's a game. It's a so-called Ocean. I mean, we all know there's a pretty good piece, Ocean, and his son told him that he never seen such a big whale around him. So that's the most impressive thing for him, and he's, you know, why he is so passionate now about, you know, the whole VR business of Bilibili. So I don't know whether you know Bilibili. I think Sylvia knows Bilibili.
Yeah.
Bilibili is the largest, you know, video platform for younger generation. It started off animation of cartoon, but now it's growing as the largest, you know, subculture or now mainstream culture for younger community. So that's one impressed me, and I think that's like 2 weeks ago, he told me the story about this Ocean. And for myself, I remember there's one multi-people interactive program. It's about dancing. It's from Switzerland. It's like 20 minutes. It's not a game. It's like a interactive program. I remember there are 4 people together. We are playing with those dancers in this VR. What is that experience? So we can. What is that? It's how to introduce this. They have real dancer. Also, they have virtual dancer. And as experienced people, as we for the audience or for the people who is experiencing that, we are also like a figure of dancer. So yeah, this I don't know whether we can find this online because it's it's offline. It's multi people together. I mean, this is one. This one was maybe my favorite one.
Yeah, if you could put the name somewhere, I will, you know, share on my social media. Like
you don't,
yeah.
My gosh.
Someone said Gilles Jobin. I think that's from Ruth.
It's like the year of 19, the year of 18. I think it's 2018 that year, 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think I know more or less the one you are talking about, and our audience actually tapped the name on it. Yeah, which we can all go have a look. So so as all you kind of beautifully mentioned, VR is really not only about being somewhere else, but also being with other people. Is similar to live theater. So actually, I'm going to now move on to the next question, which I'm going to actually ask the same question on the panel, which is about opportunities and challenges when we have XR technology. So this actually, I'm going to direct this question to Sarah. Of what new opportunities and challenges does XR technology supported interactive experiences bring to theater and other live audience experiences? And at the same time, I put that on WooClap, a question for everybody to answer as well. But I wish from the audience side, because this is about UK-China partnership, we can have a more sort of angle towards XR collaboration between Ukraine and China. What opportunities and challenges? But Sarah, please.
Yes. Just so I'm right in answering the question. So what are the opportunities around immersive tech in theatre effectively?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, if we can have a China angle, great. But if not, don't worry. We just want to, because you just had this big dream production. It just the challenges and opportunities when, and in the past few years, because I know RSC has some great pieces before the pandemic that really combines XR technology with live theatre. That was really impressed. Really wanted to go, but obviously, Dream was also a really great alternative. So yeah, what do you think are the opportunities and challenges really in this space for the past few years you've been working in? Yeah?
I think the opportunities are we have a global audience, but we need to change the ways we work to achieve that. And there are challenges, for example, reaching audiences in China if you're distributing from the UK, for example. That is a challenge. And the more we collaborate, the easier that will be. And we can set up distribution pipelines that can, achieve an audience globally where and regionally, if that makes any sense. I think that's really important. I think like Pearl talked about in her talk around the content that's created and how we do need to think again regionally about the content we create, who's creating it, how it comes across, and that for example, British centric form of content a lot does get lost in translation, and how can we work with a diverse range of storytellers, for example, and increase that. But that again has been happening. The RSC has had a long-standing program of work, translation program of work with companies in China, and looked at how it can develop work crossing audiences in that way. So I think those are a couple of examples. I think the potential more so is that also that international collaborations can work really well. So perhaps, we don't need to just think about crew and staff that are locally based for us anymore, that we can actually think more broadly about the crew that we work with internationally. And again, that makes the work more exciting. And then in terms of real-time tech, I think that's just got to get faster, better. The computing power needs to get stronger. And the costs need to come down quite significantly for it to be achieved meaningfully without some level of upfront investment, which I think it still does at the moment. It's got to create a commercial return, and that's still emerging. But we are much more informed about how those commercial returns can be achieved.
Thank you, Sarah. Johnny, would you like to add on that?
Yes, sure. So I think I've added a couple to the list, but I'm happy to say them on here. Obviously, the global audience is spectacular, but a big chunk of that is in China. And I think we should recognise that. I mean, I know our proposal to AHRC really focused on that. And we've heard from Pearl what the appetite is that she's been seeing in China for immersive or XR content. So I think the number of people in China who are interested, I think, is and likely to engage with what we produce is brilliant. I also listed China tech capability and resource. So we know here in the UK we've got actually a bit of a shortage of really skilled XR tech professionals in terms of the coding skills, the familiarity and knowledge of throwing around Unreal and or Unity or whatever the games engine is that's being developed. China is obviously globally renowned for its technical prowess, and I think that's something again that we could really usefully try and leverage to have a bigger impact than either China or UK could have on their own. And just want to add, which I haven't put on the list yet, but I will in a second, I was just writing my items. There's also brilliant creative work coming out of China. So through the AHRC UK collaboration, we've seen Damming's beautiful dance piece in 360 called Orbit. When we were in Shanghai, Sylvia, when we were allowed to be there in like 2019, can't believe it's that long, but you know, we saw some really, really impressive installations and in R&D facilities, but also in galleries. And I think recognizing that it's a two-way exchange of creative IP is the other angle. And just to pick up on what Sarah was saying, so I've heard various people at RSC, and probably including Sarah, and various people that we collaborate with in China, probably including Pearl, talking about how some of Shakespeare's core themes and narratives and stories actually have really strong resonance with some really rich culturally relevant stories in China, and sort of an opportunity therefore is to localize the experience to be more relevant to what is a massive audience in China.
Thank you, Johnny. Pearl, I have a related question for you, because you are a researcher who is actually familiar with both British and Chinese culture in the XR industry. So how do you think the Chinese XR market actually differs from the UK one?
This is a pretty challenging question.
So you are best placed to answer this.
Right. I think we always have the problem of content production. I mean, in China, technology is not really big issue for the whole industry. I think in China, this is similar. Like we can rethink about like a traditional movie industry. The way to develop movie industry is pretty, a little bit, I mean, back behind, Western society, Western world. For example, like probably only the past 10 years, there is a big step, big progress of China's movie industry. So similarly, I think the biggest challenge in China is always the content and creative talents. So if we say the biggest difference is that maybe UK has smaller market, but more creative talents. But in China, probably bigger market, but comparatively less, creative talents. So I think this is a pretty good match for these two countries. We can co-work together. So I don't know whether I answer your question.
Perfect. So UK is a net exporter and China is a net importer. But I'm actually more keen on the actual sort of co-production. I think that's really one, maybe we should start with exporting and importing, but then, the next step, I still want to see more collaborative project. I think that would be
right. Right. This is also what I'm thinking when I teach this class. I think probably like we can co-teach students, younger students. When we, for example, like how to encourage people to, to create a good story first. And what is a good story for the global audience? So we can't think it only in a local context. So we're encouraging students to think more globally, but how to, this is I think this is always it's a long time problem in China. So see opportunities, if we have enough global talents. And when we say content is king, I think talents are God. So I'm sorry, I think talents are most important thing. And then opportunities, if we can have like encourage, talents can work together globally, that will be a big opportunity to share the global market.
And actually, I think universities are at a really great position for this, because I have lots of great students, and many of them are from China, and they they deliver amazing experiences, like completely not like just so creative, so innovative, right? And
Right.
for me, like I completely, give me a piece of work, I won't be able to predict whether this is from China or not. So in a sense, I don't entirely agree with you that China is struggling with content, but or they have to tell them. But I think, like if Chinese universities, Chinese and English universities would work more closely together, we can kind of try to stimulate each other. And that's really how we, how we get people to achieve things they're able to, but they didn't know they are. And I think that's still some work to do. But I really, I really see that's not something that's going to happen in 10, 20 years. That's not something going to happen tomorrow. Johnny
has something.
I'm gonna just jump in there, Sylvia, on your university's role, because I think universities have a role, but I don't think it is leading the development of creative outputs.
That's true, yeah. But we're feeding the fresh blood.
Yeah. I think if in front of technologies developing, I mean it's quickly changed. So I think I don't know how about the situation in UK, but in China I think sometimes industry is leading the performance. I mean university can do a lot of academic very fundamental research and education program for students. So we say in China we say 产教融合, that is we need to bridge the industry and academic world. And we need to bridge the industry and education. Especially we need to encourage students to apply what they learn to the real practice. So and prepare themselves to be more better for the industry or for the real practice. So I think that's the way to move forward.
Yeah, we actually have a few of my students have those either from China or elsewhere. They now have offers to have spend their summer doing internship with one of either London or UK based creative places. I do think in the area of XR, I do see actually students is a big drive in bringing new ideas and really kind of pushing the sort of creative forward. And I just want to quickly ask Johnny a question before we move on to sort of a wrap-up question. Just very briefly, how do you think audience insights best inform XR creative experiences and monetization models, and how do you want to bring this to China?
I think the way we did it in Dream, the way so it needs a project lead that believes in it, and that the structure of the team building so that whilst the production is always obviously creative led, that's the point of it's showcasing what creative genius can do, but that we can give a lot of useful hints and constraints for them to then operate in. And necessity is the mother of invention is a hackneyed phrase, but it's also true. So actually I think a lot of the constraints that were forced on our production, their production of Dream, has effectively helped them innovate, because they had to innovate to find solutions to meet the audience needs. So obviously I'd say hire IT media, hire Sarah, and if there's any time in your diary, and we can show you how it's done. Seriously though, I think that it's clearly not feasible that Sarah will lead every one of these productions, nor that IT media will be the audience research partner on all of them. So we do have a range of tools, some of which are available for free from our website, for you to use yourselves, for different production teams to use themselves. But fundamentally, it is the connection to the it's a connection between the creatives, the technologists, and the researchers, being in a, recognizing the distinct roles that each has. So.
Thank you, Johnny. I forgot to actually ask audience to put questions, but I just somehow hope people just start asking questions, but we don't actually have any questions from the audience. But if you have a question, please put it there and we'll try to address them in the next 8 minutes.
I was just going to add one more thing. Like one example of the tools that we use, I mentioned the audience impact metric. It was brilliant last year. Obviously, in-person performances and experiences, location-based experiences, weren't possible here in the UK, but by, I think, September, October time, they were possible in China. And it was really, really brilliant for us, for Pearl to use I2's audience impact metric with a really big sample, like 1,500 audience members at your exhibition, Pearl. And that's the sort of mechanism where there's sharing for free initially, but then, you know, on a fair basis of revenue shares of tools and methodologies that actually enable different organizations to do what I think we're all preaching for, which is effective collaboration within and across the sector.
Thank you. So on that note, I'm going to have to move on to our wrap-up question. Originally, I put a question: how do you think the pandemic will change the way XR experiences will be delivered in the future? But I think I'm just, you know, like, I don't want to talk about the pandemic anymore, but still feel free to submit your answer to this question so we can share. But I want to actually ask all the panelists here, what do you think is going to be the next big thing in XR related to, you know, live theater or any cultural experiences in the next 2 to 3 years? Sorry for changing the question on the fly. If you want to answer the original question, I'm also happy with it.
I think theatres opening again is something that everyone is desperate for around the world, but especially, well, I know for sure here in the UK, that's what our audience data tells us. I think it will be a retrograde step to just go back to business as normal pre-pandemic. I think productions like Dream have shown what the opportunities are. And I've started coining the phrase hybrid, a hybrid future, where wherever you are in the world, you can watch a live and experience a live performance and influence a live performance like was possible in Dream. Or you can actually be on site and in the theatre and in your seat. And I think there's some really interesting XR experimentation around optimizing the home experience and the in-theatre experience when it is a hybrid production. So I think that's probably the number one that I'm excited about. I think the other big opportunity is that we've demonstrated there is a really unsated appetite, so an appetite that has not yet been fully addressed for brilliant content with genuinely innovative technology underpinning it, but at its core, brilliant creative and beautiful experiences, even fireworks, Pearl, that I think we need to explore further going forward, because audiences are ready for this type of production, and we need to make more of them.
Thank you. So we really need to use VR to enhance our real life and, you know, have a virtual world we also live in case there's another pandemic, we are not just stuck with our like study or bedrooms. And Sarah, would you like to say something about this?
Yeah, I think what I'd like to say is Dream was really interesting because, I mean, I'm of a generation that was pre-internet. I'm of a generation that still need to be explained a lot of what this work is, but a younger generation in Dream got it and they didn't need explanation, and it was completely organic and natural that this experience completely suited what they do in their everyday, and that's quite profound, and I don't think we talk about that enough. And I think that there are whole new generations experiencing content in ways that they're just not the decision makers, and I think that's super interesting. How do we enable that and not assume that what we're doing is actually as new as we'd like to think in our world, and actually that this is something that audiences, many audiences didn't need explanation. And how do we avoid a generational split, and how do we look at it much more holistically, much more openly? And I think that will always come back to accessibility, inclusion, welcome, all of those things that actually we try and do every day, whether that's in a physical location or building or whether that's online. And I think that is very interesting and really important.
Yeah, thank you. And I look forward to the good traditional way of theatre happening again at RSC as soon as possible. Paul, Do you have some thoughts on this as well? I mean, actually, you see it from a really interesting angle because China is kind of semi-post-pandemic in a sense. Like, yeah, theaters are open now in China, aren't they?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but under some limited capacity. Is it like
more flexible than months before? Last week I watched a dancing in the International Dancing Center. Last time I remember it's still two seats, one person, but so this time 50%, it's the complete row. So I think this is. Yeah, it's full. I mean, the theater is full. So this is very encouraging. But one thing I want to say in the future is you mentioned that in 3 years, I think now I realize that XR probably means VR plus MR. So I think VR is a totally different thing from the other Rs. So this is what I want to emphasize. And this is also my passion, why I love VR the most, not really XR. XR means some dimensions of R is still, in the real physical world, but virtual reality VR is totally different thing. So I think in the next 3 years, people will realize this more and more clearly. And now it's probably because this headset, the equipment is not that popular for individuals or families. So still people will be confused about the concept of technology. But in the future, I think people will understand that VR is VR, but other R's is still too real. So this is first thing I want to emphasize. And the second thing is now after those survey of the individual audience, I'm interested more in family. I mean, VR actually is virtual reality is really perfect thing for the family, especially after the difficult time. People will be during the time we are we are expecting to be back home to be back to the family. So how to encourage or how to open the family market for virtual reality, especially in China. I think this is a very new. I think this is a very good topic maybe for Johnny. He is smiling right now. So I think that's good thing, especially for China. We have a very long time history or tradition of family sense. So we hope to enjoy everything at home, and so this is another focus I want to share with you guys. And the last thing is about I'm thinking whether it's possible to produce to create kind of a really virtual theater, how to keep the heritage of theater and how to develop the theater heritage or theater culture into a more modern way, or using online online culture. How to balance these two interesting. I mean, they are both exciting, but in China, I mentioned that a smaller group of audience for theater performance. This is also a historical issue. I mean, because we didn't develop theater culture for a long time. So, but for online, if we can really create a virtual theater or virtual stage, or just create all the performance on this virtual theater, I mean, that will be something totally new, or just a new world of theater performance. I don't know how to whether the logic is the same, because I'm not the expert of theater. I'm just a very passionate audience. So maybe Sarah can tell us that whether it's possible to have a virtual theater in the virtual world.
Yeah, it's totally possible. We've LiDAR scanned our theatre and put it in Unreal Engine, so that's totally possible. But I should also say that a theatre is anything. So a world is a theatre, and that's what we really, really need to think about. So it's more than possible. It's already happening. It's about how we convene around it and how we put the rituals of theatre in it. So that's what I think it's an opportunity for that as a discussion. I think our buildings are made in a certain way because architecturally that's how audiences work in person. I don't think necessarily we always need to think like for like. The online space, our audiences work differently.
Very fantastic answer. Yeah, I shall live my life. I shall live my life every day as if I'm
3
in a
years.
plane.
3 years in the next 3 years, right?
Yeah. Johnny, do you have any last thing to add? No. Okay, so I think
only just to reflect Sarah's final point there. And in Shakespeare's words, all the world's a stage. So I'm just echoing Sarah's.
Yeah, no, I think we should be living our everyday life as if we're in a performance, and I think that's really great point. I think I agree with Paul's point, and I think mobile devices actually divide families apart. And I hope VR, XR technology could bring everybody together in a way. We have I have lots of VR headsets, and one of the entertaining thing we do as a family is to watch one of us playing Beat Saber and the rest of the family making fun of this person. And I say that's actually a lot better than everybody on their own tablets or mobile phones. And I really hope the future of this is also, we can use VR as a device to make the world smaller and bring everybody closer to each other, no matter what culture or geographic background you were from. And on that note, thank you very much for today's discussion, and it's really lovely to see every one of you, and hopefully we're not too far from actually seeing everyone in person. Okay, thank you. Thanks everybody for coming.
So do we need to listen to hear some ideas from our participants?
We don't have any questions coming in, but if anyone want to add any last minute questions, we're happy to answer. But I think people are probably just listening to us. So so the four of us, we should schedule a meeting. I will send an email to all of you. We need to think about, have some real plans, and over the summer probably organize a few more events based on the dream audience studies, and have some more concrete plans.
Trip to China?
Probably next year. I don't think it will happen this year. I mean, I would love to, but I think there is this vaccine complexity. I think you need to have. Pearl, do you know how to actually go to China now? I think I can go because I'm on a Chinese passport, but otherwise.
I think we some maybe rumors or some news channel told us that the UK or US will open your door to the world pretty later this year. I don't know whether it's true or not. So I think China, we are ready for nice.
Especially with people who have had their vaccinations already. I'm not so. My side issue is I think flight tickets are going to be really expensive for the near future, and I wait for the price to come down a little bit for various reasons. And also, I just don't want too many sort of unpredictable factors. I don't want to organize a trip for 10 people to go to China only for it to be canceled last minute. So I think it's safer to bet that we'll be, on the plane flying to China next year, probably Easter time, if not slightly before then. That's what I think. So book your book 2 weeks around that time, and we should start talking
now
about
now the price is like a double of normal, so
exactly. So I want to I